Calin, what's up, my man? How you doing?
Good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for setting some time aside to obviously give us a bit of a shout out on how things are going with you. Before we dive into this, give the viewer on the other end just a bit of a brief summary on who you are, where you're from, what you do.
Sure. So, my name is Calin Price. I'm from Buffalo, New York, just south of Buffalo. My wife and I ran an in-person facility, group facility, one-on-one training, and that was pre-COVID. And then post-COVID, we got into remote space, tried to do that, and now that's all we do. And we work solely with moms. That's our market. It's called the Comeback Queens Academy, and that's who we work with.
Beautiful. And start off sort of by just explaining a little bit about prior to us working together, because I think it's been around 8 or 9 months now. Where were you at prior to us starting?
Yeah, so right before COVID, we weren't doing any remote. As COVID was happening, we added some, we tried, and it was tough. Post COVID, I tried a couple programs and didn't really gain any traction at all. And I was essentially, before working with you, I was almost at zero in terms of
Mm,
revenue, remote wise, which was super discouraging.
yeah. Massively, massively.
Yeah,
And for those that are watching that might not understand what remote is just obviously online, and that kind of
yep,
thing.
yeah.
When you were sort of almost at zero and we were starting to get the remote thing going, what were sort of the main struggles you were facing with then in terms of like just getting it going yourself?
The biggest bottleneck for me has always been ads and lead flow, quality
Yeah.
lead flow.
Mm,
I'm really good at implementing strategy, assuming I know what I'm doing, but I had no idea what I was doing. Like
yeah.
it's just a foreign world to me. So that
Mm,
was the biggest bottleneck for us, just leads.
leads. Yeah. And how would you say that we've sort of improved the lead flow in your business now since working together? What were sort of the main things that you think contributed to that?
Yeah. So we've had a lot of iterations, right, to get to where we
Mm,
are now, but it's just taken it off my plate completely. I don't even think about it. I mean, I
yeah.
do the creative if I'm asked to, if you have creative that I need to make, but I don't think about it anymore. So my
Mm,
bandwidth is huge mentally. Um, it's super freeing for me because I could have spent hours and hours and hours learning it, maybe, but I didn't have to now. I just
yeah,
show up to my sales calls.
for sure. And
Yeah.
with the services that we're working with, like we primarily look after your ads as well. Would you say
Mhm.
that you've gained a lot more clarity around content, marketing, and scaling the business as well?
Absolutely. So before working with you, I tended to be pretty reactive, instead of like proactive. And
Yeah,
after working with you, I've been able to look at KPIs a lot more and just understand where we are and not have to worry so much because I wasn't tracking, right?
sure.
So now that everything is tracked and I know where we are and I know where the green is go, then I'm good.
Let's get into like some more specifics because obviously people want to know numbers. Where is the
Yep.
business at sort of revenue wise now, and then say profit margin wise as well?
Okay. Yeah. So like right before working with you, I'm almost at zero, right? So not great. We're now any given month between 15 and 30 in revenue, 30,000. So
Yeah,
that's revenue wise. I mean, give or take a couple, different months yield different
sure.
results, but I take 40 to 50% profit margin, and that's net. That's not gross. That's my net take post tax dollars, which I could run the business a little leaner, I think,
Mm.
arguably, but that's pretty lean, and I'm pretty happy with that.
For sure. And considering that with your marketing, we're primarily focusing just on paid traffic. There's not a lot of organic acquisition, even though that is something that we help you with.
Yep.
Um, that's obviously eats into the profit margins a little bit more as well. So like I could only begin to imagine that the profit margins would be probably like 60 or even 70 if we had an organic structure going as well, which we have there, but we know with you it's more so we just want to do paid traffic, which is fine. Talk to me
Yeah.
about like obviously we're running the paid traffic and you've got someone else that helps out with the fulfillment. So it's only like you and one other person, really small, lean team. How many hours per day does it take you to kind of, operate and run the business?
So generally for me as an operator, that part of it's really, really small. Most of my day is sales calls. So depending on how many I have, I would say I average 3 hours a day. And
Mm.
that's not even working weekends. I just Monday through Friday, and Friday's a
Yeah.
half day. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's really good. And like you mentioned, the fulfillment coach, that's another thing that took a lot off my plate. Like,
Yeah.
it's super lean, super lean.
That's so good. And tell me the, I guess, the price point for your program and how long
Yep.
that goes for, and how many, I guess, clients we're sort of signing on a week at the moment.
Okay, so the program price is 5,200. It's actually a year of change program, so it's 12 months, which is sort of different than a lot of companies, I think. But we have about 60 to 65 clients right now. It's like 62, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
And depending on how much I'm willing to spend, right, on ads, like probably if I have 3 sales a week, I'm super stoked. Like,
Mm.
that's me being totally honest. More is great, but 3 is right on track to where I want to be.
And it doesn't sound like much, 3 sales, but if you were to say, compound that over a year or even just 6 months at 5K a pop, and most of, just like for the viewer on the other end, most of the time these are payment plans, which is also completely fine because those are slowly accruing in the background. It's
Yeah.
actually quite big growth considering how much Calin's working in the business and those kind of things as well. Like if you wanted to be a giant millionaire, then obviously we can dial things up and go crazy from there. But considering it's more so for him about having a life of freedom, it's a
Yep.
pretty little tight little model there that we've got going on, which is cool. In saying that, now that things are kind of really dialed in and working well, how are you feeling at this point compared to say when you're almost at zero?
So I just feel like I have an idea of where I'm going to be going, because it's all tracked and it's all just a numbers game, really.
Mm.
And that's kind of how my mind works. I didn't have someone coaching me on that before. So
Yeah.
now I just feel like as long as we do what we're supposed to do, it just works. I
So
know you thought, like, we said 3 sales a week maybe isn't a lot, but if you look at my cash collected and you look at future revenue, dude, it's good. It's really
yeah,
good.
I think like we're sitting in, it's the beginning of September 2023 at the time of filming this, and we've got 203K contracted revenue for the year, which is insane
Yeah.
considering. And sorry for the person watching this as well, that's sitting at a 10.7 ROI. So for every dollar we're putting in, we're pulling out $10. So like, it's a pretty fucking dialed little machine that we've got there.
Yeah.
So, dude, that's really
Yeah.
awesome. I'm really proud of you with that. If someone was to ask you for some advice who was considering getting some similar help, what would you sort of say to that person?
So I think if you're in a position like I was in, waiting and trying to figure it out on your own is probably the worst thing you can do, because, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't want to spend money on any of this, but
Sure.
I also knew that I was either gonna find someone to help me with it to push me further, or I was gonna waste a lot of time and a lot of money on my own.
Mm.
And so I just took a leap of faith. If you're on the fence, like, just go for it. Like, it's really clear to me now to say that now. It's scary as hell at first. It really is.
Mm.
So yeah, just do it.
It's just literally as simple as that. That's the
It
biggest thing,
really is.
though. Yeah, but that's the biggest thing as well, though, is it's like for a lot of people, especially if this is your first or second time potentially working with somebody and getting help, it's scary handing over that cash. But there's the saying in the business world is you got to spend money to make money, and it's like it couldn't be more true. So you treading
Yeah.
water, trying to figure it out by yourself is usually the slow path. You might get there eventually, but sometimes just handing over some cash is going to make you work, plus increase the speed of your progress and that sort of thing as well. But dude, I won't take any more of your time. I really appreciate you jumping on here, going through this. I'm sure it's going to help somebody else if
Absolutely.
they're on the fence and that sort of thing. But yeah, dude, thanks for that, and I look forward to seeing your success in the future with us.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Thanks, man.